I chose to evaluate the film The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring for this project. My observations while viewing this film were that it displayed several psychological concepts, more than I could even fit into this project. The protagonist, Frodo Baggins, is a young hobbit whose mission is to destroy the one ring he inherited from his uncle Bilbo. In the beginning, he is very easygoing and carefree, but apprehensive once he is given the ring. He does not want to bear the responsibility of being the one to have to carry it. Throughout the film, he mostly just follows orders, but can be impulsive at times. He is very much reliant on his comrades. Through the influence of his friends, he was able to grow as a person. Due to his experience, he gained a better sense of self and what it takes to be a good leader. Frodo comes from Hobbit society, and the Hobbits are very much a collective culture. Collective cultures value the needs of their society, rather than self-preservation. They are dependent on each other, and working together is essential. Members are very much influenced by the relationships they have. A particular example in the film would be that both Bilbo, who carried the ring for many years, and Frodo Baggins can be seen bearing the consequences of the ring in order to protect everyone. Younger members in a collective societies tend to look to their elders for guidance, which can be seen in Frodo and Gandalf's relationship. Frodo is also very influenced by his friends. They cooperate and work as a team to help one another throughout the film. An example of this would be when Sam, Merry, and Pippin join the group. They are putting themselves in danger and going out of their comfort zone because of their loyalty to Frodo.
This scene, created by my friend and I, is not a direct scene from the film. The scene depicts hobbits working together to build a fire. I feel as though this displays the collective culture of hobbits.
Throughout the journey, Frodo and his friends witness and participate in very traumatic experiences. They have been in battles and experienced the loss of loved ones together.
Ah, you fool!
This scene depicts nonverbal behavior, as you can see what the characters are feeling without words. The characters' body language and facial expressions speak for themselves. This experience caused collective trauma. Collective trauma refers to the psychological reaction a group of people face when subjected to a traumatic event. Each of these individuals experienced the same event, which caused them all to suffer. The devastation can be seen on their faces after they lose Gandalf. Frodo is especially upset because Gandalf had been so influential throughout all his life. Because of their trauma, Frodo and his group most likely experienced post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is an emotional and mental stress that persists for a time after experiencing a severely traumatic event. I feel as though the stress of watching people brutally fight to the death, being constantly chased down, and watching Gandalf fall to his death, Frodo and his friends are bound to experience PTSD. I also feel as though the ring can be seen as a metaphor for trauma. It can weigh on you, and if not dealt with properly, can drive you insane over time. I find that this quote from Gandalf, when he's speaking to Elrond about the damage the ring has done to Frodo, does a good job at referencing PTSD.
The wound will never fully heal. He will only carry it for the rest of his life.
The Lord of the Rings continues to depict PTSD in later films. A common symptom of PTSD are nightmares and unwanted memories. The second film, The Two Towers, shows Frodo having a recurring nightmare, which is a flashback of Gandalf's fall. The ring is a good example of addiction. It can be seen as a metaphor for a thing people are addicted to. Addiction is when a person is dependent or obsessive over something. People who are addicted to something tend to behave in ways they wouldn't when they're not addicted, and can even betray loved ones. Addiction can have a certain power over a person. The ring causes people to betray friends, which is seen when Boromir tries to take the ring from Frodo. In the film, Frodo even says to Boromir, "You are not yourself." There is also a quote from Boromir where he is referencing the ring that I find represents addiction.
So much fear and doubt. over such a small thing.
Gollum is also a good example of what addiction can do to a person. He was addicted to the ring for many years, and it turned him into something he never thought he would become. His progression of physical deformity could be representing the progression of addiction that turns people into something unrecognizable. Resilience is recognized by people being able to cope easily, both emotionally and mentally, after dealing with a catastrophic event. These events are often traumatic, but people who possess resilience can deal with the negative effects of these situations and revert to their normal state rather fast. Frodo possesses resilience, and it is seen all throughout the film. Despite being subjected to extremely traumatic events, he can pick himself up and fight each day in order to complete his mission. One question I have is, why was he even able to hold the ring? I suspect that it has to do with his resilience. The film depicts the empathy-altruism hypothesis. This theory states that when a person has empathy, there is a selfless drive to help the person in need. This can be seen countless times throughout the film. A particular example would be when Sam joins Frodo on his journey to help him, even though he had no obligation to and was actually putting himself in danger. Frodo wanted Sam to stay behind so he could go to Mordor by himself, but Sam refused. Sam and Frodo also have a communal relationship. It is a friendship rather than romantic, but the same terms still apply. Communal relationships have a mutual understanding and consideration for each other's wants and needs. The two of them are equally concerned for each other's well-being, which can be seen as Frodo wants Sam to stay in Shire for Sam's safety, but Sam wants to join Frodo for Frodo's safety. A concept I found intriguing was the acts of heroism in this film. Sam sacrifices his safety on multiple occasions to try and protect Frodo. Man's main instinct is self-preservation, to stay alive, although there's a psychological overdrive when sacrificing oneself to protect their loved ones. This may have to do with the diffusion of responsibility, which is the belief that one should help another in need. Frodo is in need, as he is in grave danger, and Sam does all he can to help. Social facilitation can be seen in this film. Social facilitation is the increase or decrease in a person's performance when working with others instead of alone. The film shows that there is an increase in each of the characters' performance when working together. As a group, they are concerned with the safety of their comrades, especially Frodo, and work harder to protect each other than they would just protecting themselves. Frodo's mission is very large-scale, and their objective is protecting him so he can carry out his responsibility. It's much bigger than each of them. Cognitive dissonance is displayed in the film. Cognitive dissonance happens when an individual has ideas or beliefs that are contradictory. This causes high stress that no individual wants to experience, so they'd obviously like to reduce it. This can be seen when Bilbo Baggins uses the ring to surprise everyone by disappearing at the party. Bilbo knows that he should not use the power over the ring over such trivial things and should not allow all of Shire to know that he's in possession of it. Although the ring's temptations cause him to have contradictory beliefs, in turn having him cave and participate in that behavior. After doing this, he starts to spiral and leaves the Shire, giving Gandalf the ring to leave for Frodo. These actions show Bilbo trying to reduce the stress in the only way he knows how. Frodo is experiencing a self-fulfilling prophecy. A self-fulfilling prophecy is when a person has expectations for another, which result in the other following those expectations and roles. This can be seen with Gandalf's expectations of Frodo. He expects Frodo to be able to bear the responsibility of the ring and to complete his journey in order to save everyone. These high expectations result in Frodo striving to achieve them, and it paid off. He was able to meet those expectations so that Gandalf would have been proud. When the group is being chased for the ring, they have reaction aggression. Reaction aggression is when a threat or provocation in turn causes aggressive behavior. Harm is only inflicted when it is in the name of self-preservation. This can be seen as they do not attack first or even want to fight. They're simply trying to get to safety. Fighting and killing the people chasing them is the only way for them to make it out. This can be seen in the film as they hide from the Nazgul when they are able to, particularly in the beginning of the film and in the tavern. Yet they're forced to fight them later during the campfire scene. Frodo is shown self-monitoring. Self-monitoring is when an individual alters the behavior due to having to present a certain way to others in a situation. Frodo must show his resistance to the ring, his loyalty for the cause, leadership throughout the journey, and great responsibility. He must behave in these ways in order to get the job done. You can see this as his character develops into a more confident and competent individual. The main characters have a superordinate goal. A superordinate goal is a shared objective in a group, which can only be completed with everyone's help. The goal was to take the One Ring back to its place of origin. It needed to be casted into the lava of Mount Doom in order to be destroyed and take Sauron down with it. Each of the characters in the group work together to complete this goal. Along the way, Frodo develops a sense of self and grows as a person. During his journey, many psychological concepts can be seen in action. Although I mention a number of these concepts, the film was jam-packed with so many connections to psychological theories. A side note, due to lack of costume resources, the battle scene is not a direct scene from the film, as the group did not fight each other the way that we depicted it. I would like to give a special thanks to my friends who helped me reenact these scenes. Eric Gonzalez, who played Aragorn and Boromir, Danielle Marston, who played Gimli, Rosie Tran, who played Merry and Pippin, either one, Mariah Bosco, who played Legolas, Norma Perez, who played Gandalf, and Maya DeLuca, who played Frodo Baggins. Samwise Gamgee was played by me.